I'm Villarreal, licensed professional counselor with Nippenberg Patterson and Associates. I run social groups for high school, middle school, and later elementary school kids. I also do individual therapy, and my focus is generally with young adults that are struggling to really kind of move into the occupational realm of their life, and also meet with those kids that are in my groups individually as well too. This is my wife Sydney, and I'll let you elaborate, Sydney, on what you do.
I am a marketing and branding specialist for small businesses. I take small business concepts and ideas and I bring them into fruition either creatively or conceptually, helping them pull all the parts together. But together we work from home and have worked from home for many years, and between the two of us we have 3 children, ages 17, 12, and 3. So we run quite the gamut. And currently during COVID, we have all of our kids here with us. And we have, over the years, come up with some pretty good strategies to help us to work from home productively while also giving the other person some space, allowing for some time together, and being pretty productive in our day.
Yeah,
So we wanted to share that with you today because COVID has definitely presented a challenge for many families, including our own, where we are now working from home. Many of us are teachers in online schooling, which I am not a teacher, but I do my best trying to help. We're also managing staying in, looking for ways to exercise, trying to find time to ourselves, trying to find time to spend with each other, trying to find time to spend with our kids who are becoming increasingly more bored. And so this presents a big challenge to everybody. And the good news is we're all in it together. You know, everybody's going through a similar situation, whether they have kids or not. A lot of people are working from home, and maybe they've never worked from home before. So it presents a challenge, and working from home is not for everyone. I do think that it's a learned skill. It takes years to feel like you have it mastered and to be productive in it. But for many people, I know that it feels overwhelming to accomplish anything in the day and not be sidetracked by all the distractions. So today we wanted to share those with you and give you guys some tips and some ideas that might help for you and your partner, especially if you're raising children along with your jobs. So one thing that we like to do is we like to start and end our day with our intentions. Setting your intentions for your day really helps for you to be checked into what the tasks that you need to accomplish that day. So often we create long to-do lists and stick them on our desk and try to, figure out a way to accomplish 50 things in a day, which is impossible under the best of circumstances. But looking to set your intentions for the things that you need to do for that day, the most important tasks. If your list is long, I encourage you to look at that list and really find the things that are most important that day, because probably not all those things on your list have to be accomplished that day. So really taking time to evaluate what it is that you need to accomplish, and then writing those down. So and we actually like to write them down in a notebook that we can both look at, so we both are on the same page. We both know what the other person has to accomplish that day, and we also, when we go to sit down and we have our work time or our working hours, we know what we need to do. There's no wasting time in saying, what is it that I'm going to accomplish today? We have it set out, it's on paper, it makes what we're going to accomplish up front and right there. The second thing that we like to write in our intentional journal is what we would like to do for ourselves that day. Taking time for yourself is very important. It's very important in less stressful times, but it's more so important in these times because you have no separation from work, from home, There is no socializing with friends unless you're doing a Zoom happy hour or coffee with your friends. But taking that time for yourself helps you to focus for the rest of the day. It helps you manage the stress of COVID, of your kids, of online schooling. So we like to write in our journal what we would like to do for ourselves that day, and it might be working out, going for a walk. It might be reading a book. It might be just having dinner upstairs by yourself, and sometimes that's okay. Shut your bedroom door and take your dinner upstairs and have dinner alone. It's perfectly okay. But it just helps the other person know where you're at, helps them to support you in taking that time to yourself. And the third thing that we like to do, write in their journal, is what we appreciate about the other person. And I'll let Mike talk about that.
Yeah, when we're doing our intending in the morning, that short little list, it's just something simple, something that you acknowledge that the other person is doing that you normally wouldn't even just think about, that you take for granted. It's just like, oh, I see Sydney she's great at the groceries. She's on top of it, and that's a lot of work. So for me to just be thankful for that and to let her know, hey, I really appreciate your commitment to making sure that we have supplies and that you're on top of that. As with me finding a way to affirm her in a, and for lack of better words, or actually this is a great word, in a romantic way. We can get so busy that we're just like two amoebas running around the living room. So we'll intend maybe like a number 2 item is just grab each other every now and then and hug, give each other a kiss, look at each other in the eye for a minute, check in with each other. Just something simple like that. Or at the end of the night, just kind of hanging out on the couch and having a cup of tea. That'll be it as well too, just to make sure we can kind of check in after we get the little one down. Just something little. And then, of course, just reaffirming doing something for yourself is a good thing as well. And I also wanted to add as well, too, just kind of being your own therapist in triaging your work. It's important to realize that you're not going to be able to execute everything that you need to, and growing accustomed to that and leaning into seeing it as an opportunity to kind of work on your own self-control around that, and your own patience around that, and practicing kind of the triage of what is the most important. You become kind of a skilled planner if you really put a little thought into it. And I can tell you what, knowing that I'm not going to be able to get everything that I think that I used to be able to get done, especially under this circumstance, and just kind of letting it go, knowing that I am getting to the things that I need to, allows for me to really be more present with my kids when I'm not on work shift, when Sydney's on her time of work. So getting back, let me sum that up. Just try to see it in a new perspective, that this is a time to kind of learn some new skills, and maybe to realize that, hey, you are working at a different pace now, and you're under a different circumstance, and that you can adjust to it. You can persevere through it. So, just kind of keeping that in mind for just kind of, personal morale and supporting your spouse as well, too.
And it's also important to note that this intentional journal is not a plan. It's not a strict schedule. You're not setting, okay, we're going to eat breakfast at 8 a.m. and we're going to eat lunch at 12 p.m. Strict schedules, especially in this situation, have an extremely high rate of failure. There has to be a lot of flexibility in your day. And between Mike and myself, there are many times where Mike has a client call or I have a conference call. And those times are off limit to when the other person can work, because especially with a 3-year-old at home. But I imagine, children, even our 12-year-old needs us, and could easily interrupt us during one of those meetings. It is important that the other person be available to run, a triage against being interrupted during those important meetings. So having that intentional journey lets the other person know when those important times are, when you have those meetings, and then that allows you to plan your schedule. But in no way is this a strict schedule. There's a lot of flexibility in that schedule. And I do encourage you to stay away from the strict schedules. They just will add more stress to your day trying to follow them.
That's right.
And on that note, too, it's important that everybody have their own space to do their work. Right now, everybody working from home. You might be sharing office space with your kids. You might be sharing computers. You might be sharing iPads with your kids as they get their schoolwork done. But it's very important that for you to complete your job, that you have your own space, preferably somewhere you can shut the door and be away from your kids. It's just your space. Sometimes if the house is really loud, it means going outside. Or going to a bedroom and shutting the door, because it is hard sometimes to find that space in your house. But it is important that you try to maintain that sacred space where you can work in there. And another tip that we have is to stay away from household chores when it's your time to work. It is so easy working from home to notice the dishes in the sink, or to want to empty the dishwasher, or throw that load of laundry in, or fold it during the day. Treat your day like a work day. Those chores can wait. They can wait till the weekend. They can wait till it's your spouse or your partner is working during their time. They can always wait, even though they might bother you. It might bug you to see the dishes on the counter. With everybody home, there's likely a lot of messes in your house, but trying to stay on top of it all day long is really just a big waste of time. Set out a time where you can have the whole family help you clean up. We call it cleanup hour. Everybody does their part. Assign chores if it's easier, or just work together as a team. But just set a specific time to do those tasks, so that you're not feeling compelled to do those throughout the day, because you will lose a lot of time in your day and become really distracted, and then ultimately feel like you've accomplished nothing for that day.
We usually do that after dinner time.
Yeah, in the evening.
We're putting dishes away. It's kind of like declutter, put stuff away as well too. One thing I'd like to add about that as well too, when you're about this section, is that whenever your spouse is working and you're with the kids, I recommend not trying to multitask while you're hanging out with the kids. Be with the kids. Look at it as an opportunity to connect, like really be there. I mean, it's a great practice. And there's great gifts in it as well too. I mean, the opportunity to slow down and just really connect. I know we all desire that, and we all do that to a certain extent, but this is an opportunity that is presenting itself to kind of strengthen your family in that way. But just me personally, I notice if I'm trying to multitask a little bit by checking emails on the phone while trying to be with the kids here and there, when they are doing their own thing enough where I feel I could start going into work mode while they're doing their thing, I find if I have to vacillate back and forth by trying to get something done, quote unquote, cheat or whatever, and get something accomplished while you're watching the kids, which I tend to do, just really kind of stirs me up, kind of, increases irritability. And not only that, but I found that I just kind of miss those moments to really connect. So yeah, you practice that. Practice disciplining yourself and staying connected with your kids, and you'll find that you will really benefit from it and start to be able to let go and hang in there with them.
Definitely. And one tip that we have is not to lose sleep over work. And that can be hard. That can be difficult to not want to wake up at 4 a.m. and put in a few extra hours before the kids, or stay up until 2 in the morning to get extra work done. There probably will be times where you have to do that. But if you are tired and you are stressed, it will make this situation a lot harder, a lot worse. You will be cranky towards your spouse. You'll be irritable towards your kids. And really look to make those moments when they're very important, that you have to get up, you have to stay up to get those projects done, but don't make it a habit. Even though it's tempting. But that brings me to our third point, and that is setting boundaries. Right now it is really a challenging time, and the good news, like I said, is likely most people are in the same situation as you. Their productivity is probably lower than it was, in January and February. And you might need to remind your clients, your supervisors, your boss, that you are not as productive as you were, and that you have a limit to what you can accomplish. And there are some things that are going to have to be put on the back burner. And I think most people would be pretty reasonable at this point, because it's likely that they're in the same situation. And give them a time frame when you think that you can get to that, but don't try to fit everything in the same way that you used to a few months in February. It is a very difficult situation. I mean, you're sharing your workday with your spouse now if you have children, so you've basically cut your workday in half. And like I said, that brings us to our next point, and that we've kind of touched on it with our intentional journal, but that is taking time for yourself. So important during this time to take time for yourself, to take a deep breath, to read a book, to work out, to do some yoga, meditation, whatever it is that you need to do. You might even have had a really stressful day and you might need to take your dinner upstairs, shut the door, and have dinner by yourself, and that is perfectly okay. Whatever you need to do to be able to re-engage with your family and your job and keep going, since you are together 24/7 during this time. But it is very important that you take that time, and even if it feels selfish to take that time away from your family, that you do so. Another tip that we have too is there's no reason that you need to make everybody's meal all the time. If your kids are old enough, they can make a pizza, they can make a sandwich, they can, pretty much fend for themselves in the kitchen. If they're younger, set up a snack station where they can get a granola bar, they can get crackers, they can get a cookie, they can get a juice box, they can have their milk is in the refrigerator for them to get, so that you are not constantly at the beck and call of your family, or even your spouse. Make sure that they can make their own lunch, they can make their own breakfast. I know for us, it feels like the dishwasher it's running twice a day right now, because everybody is eating every meal here, and there's a lot of snacking that's going on. There's a lot of extra meals. There's cookies being baked. But make sure that you guard that time where you have to work or when you're hanging out with your kids, that you don't feel like you're a short order cook for your family. And then one of our biggest tips is to cut each other a lot of slack. You're likely going to be grumpy. You're likely going to have days where it feels very confining. You feel moody. Your partner might be getting on your last nerve. But really cut each other that slack. It is, taking it out on your partner doesn't help. Work to resolve conflicts quickly. Yes. This is not a time for, figuring out huge issues in a relationship. You just want to keep the peace in a family, and make sure, and likely you're feeling that way because it's stressful right now, and I think most people are feeling that stress. Maybe you want to add some to that?
Grace and space. Give each other grace and space. I think maybe just checking in with yourself if you're getting triggered. I know for Sydney and I, it may sound like to a third person that we're just barking out orders to each other, and we're really not, but we just need things on the fly. I may need something because I'm multitasking, or she may need something because she's multitasking, meaning that she's more engaged on the schedule that we've planned out. She may be in her work time, and she may need extra support, and vice versa when I'm in my work time. So getting over, not always having to say things in a pacifying manner that, hey, I get it. You need something, I'm on it. Not going to that train of thought in my mind, well, can't you ask me politely, or what about my needs first? Anything like that, man. We got to be grown-ups. That stuff is, we got to throw that out the window, and just know that, hey, I'm going to selflessly respond to your need at this time and execute it and be there and help you out with it. And if you do that, if you just be accountable for yourself in that, then your spouse is going to reciprocate. You're just going to create that good synergy there. And I think that's probably something that we've really gotten pretty good at during COVID. And I think it would be helpful in your household as well, too.
So those are basically our tips. And if you have any questions, feel free to send us a message or leave a comment in Facebook, and we'll be able to respond to you and get that back. But I think on Tuesday, Craig Nippenberg will be back, and we'll be talking more on the waiting stage of COVID and how that relates to your children and your family. Thanks, and have a great day.
Be well.